Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to another online lecture. Dear students, this is lecture number 47. Before this lecture, dear students, I finish in lecture number 46, the last part of the unit number 5, Antony and Cleopatra. Hope you understood that well. Dear students, in today's lecture, there is chapter number 6, okay, and this is Cymbeline, king of the Britain. Dear student, this is another interesting part, interesting story. You will find this very interesting, and you will get a bit of knowledge from this lesson also. So, dear students, maybe this lesson will be of two lectures because I don't think so that I will finish it in one lecture. This is lecture or this lesson having 13 or 14 slides. So I will try my best, but I think there will be two lectures of this lesson also. So dear students, let's start this lesson reading. Cymbeline was king of the angry king. Cymbeline was king of the Britain in the early years of the great Roman Empire. Dear students, this is also related to the previous story or play. His first wife had died. Okay, this is the king, and his first wife had died, leaving three young children, two sons and a daughter. The two sons had been stolen when they were very young, and no one had seen them since. So Cymbeline thought of his daughter Imogen as his only child. Dear students, this king had a wife who died in the first, but left three children, two sons and one daughter. The sons stolen in the early life, but the daughter Imogen remained with the king. Cymbeline married again. His second wife was widow who already had a son named Cloten. Now, dear student, the king married with another one, and she had a son already from the previous husband, and the name was Cloten. By her first marriage, she was very cruel to Imogen. Okay, now she is cruel to Imogen because she is not her real mother. Okay, she hated the girl because she and not Cloten would become the ruler of Britain. When Cymbeline died, however, 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 she planned a marriage between them so that even Imogen came to the throne, Cloten would be king. Cloten was a dull-minded person, selfish fellow, and Imogen despised. Despised mean treated with contempt. Secretly married a young man she had known since she was a child. Now, here you can see that Imogen already had married with another one. Here, her mother is making a plot to marry Cloten and Imogen so that her son can become the king of the country. But Imogen already had married with a person. Okay, he was Posthumus. Okay, Posthumus. This is, dear student, a boy who is born after the death of his father. That is called Posthumus. A clever young man, a fine character who came from a good family before he was born. His father had died fighting for Cymbeline. His mother had died giving birth to him. Posthumus had been brought up in the Cymbeline palace. He and Imogen and had often played together when they were children. The queen ordered her servants to find out all they could about Imogen. They told her about Imogen's secret marriage, and she immediately reported it to the king. Cymbeline was very angry. Imogen had not asked for his consent. Okay, she did not ask for his from her father that she is going to marry with a person she knew him. She knew him to the marriage. Even worse, Postumus was not permanent, a person of royal birth. The king sentenced Postumus to permanent exile from the kingdom. He must leave Britain and never return. The king also placed his daughter as a prisoner in the care of the queen. Dear students, this is a bit of interesting lesson. Here you can find that a king wife died, left three child, two stolen in the early age, and one daughter remained. Then the king married another widow. She had already a son from the previous husband, and the mother tried to make marry Imogen and her son, so that her son can become the king of the country. But Imogen, the girl, had already married with a boy. She knew him in her childhood. So, dear student, this is a little bit interesting. Let's move to another page. The queen pretended to be sorry for Imogen because she wanted to win her trust. She hoped to persuade her to, as she had originally planned. The queen told Imogen she would permit her to see Posthumus for one last time before he left the country. She urged the two young people to hurry before the king discovered them. But then she went to the king to make sure that he would find them together. Posthumus had decided to go to Rome. The lovers said goodbye to each other quickly. Imogen gave her husband a diamond ring, and he promised to keep it on her arm. He placed a bracelet as a sign of his love. They promised to be true to each other for life. At the moment Cymbeline appeared with his lords angrily, he ordered Postumus to leave or to be put to death. Dear students, here, uh, when the king knew about the marriage of his daughter with the Postumus, so he exiled Postumus from his country and made his daughter as a prisoner. Now, the powerful drug. The queen continued to make plans for her son to become king. She thought she might need to use poison against her enemies, and so she asked the court doctor Cornelius to make something for her. Cornelius did not know exactly what the queen wanted this substance for he came to the palace bringing a small box with him. Have you brought the substance I asked for? The queen asked when she saw him. Cornelius handed her the box. If you please, he said, I wonder why you have asked me to make such a highly poisonous substance. It will kill everyone who takes it. The queen reminded him that she had been a pupil of his for many years. She had learned much about how to get different substances from plants. She used this knowledge to make perfumes and medicines. She said she just wanted to find out all she could about the substance. She said she would only use it on animals, not on humans. The doctor did not trust the queen with such a powerful drug, and he had not given her exactly what she had asked for. The drug is in the box would not kill. Instead, people who took it would fall into a very deep sleep. They might look dead, but they would wake up again after a while. The queen gave the box to a man called Pisanio, who was Imogen's servant and a good friend of Postumus. The queen gave it to him as a present. She said that it was a reward for his services. She told Pisanio that the box contained a medicine which would cure all diseases. But in fact, she hoped Pisanio would take the drug and die. Then Imogen would have no loyal friend by her side. After that, it would be much easier to persuade her to give up Posthumus and marry her son Cloten. Dear students, now this is another point in the story. Imogen's love is tested. After a long journey, Posthumus arrived in Rome. He soon made many friends there. One day he found himself in a party of young men who all came from different countries. They began comparing the beauty and goodness of the ladies of their various homelands. Thinking of Imogen, Postumus praised her for her character, beauty, and loyalty. An Italian named Aichimio, Aichimo, this is dear students pronunciation. Both you can pronounce Aichimu and Aichimu. Starting from I and starting from the sound of A, both you can pronounce. Aichimu asked whether he thought a British lady would be more faithful than any other. They agreed. They agreed on a bit about it. Aichimo would go to Britain and try to win the love of Imogen. If he failed, he would give Postumus a large amount of money. If he won, however, Postumus would have to give him the diamond ring. How would Postumus know what had happened? Aichimo said that if Imogen accepted his love for her, he would make her give him the bracelet she had promised to keep. This would prove she had been faithless to Posthumus. Aichimo reached Britain and traveled to the court of Cymbeline. He carried a letter with him written by Posthumus to Imogen. It said that Aichimo was a friend when they meet. The first thing Imogen wanted to know was the news about Posthumus. Is my lord well? She asked. Is he in good health? Is he is in good health? Very well, very well, madam. And is he happy? I hope he is. Oh, most happy, madam. What an excellent sense of honor he has. He is always full of fun. How strange, said Imogen thoughtfully. When he was here, he was often very serious, and no one knew why. Well, madam, he is never serious when he is with us. He has a friend, a Frenchman, who is serious. This man spends all his time thinking about some girl in France, he loves. All day long he goes around crying and sighing, breathing, okay? Meanwhile, the merry Briton, your Lord Posthumus, follows him about, roaring with laughter. Oh, I will die. Laughing, he says to think that any man will spend his free time crying over a woman. Does my lord say such things? Imogen began to feel hurt. Indeed, he does, when two are together, he laughs more than I can tell you. Dear student, here you can see that the person who came to Imogen, he is testing the love of the Imogen and telling false about the Posthumus. Anyhow, let's see what happened at the end. In this way, Aichimo made Imogen think that her husband was enjoying himself greatly in Rome, and that he spent little, if any, of his time thinking about her. Then, saying how much he admired her beauty, Aichimo tried to win Imogen's love. However, Imogen was true to Posthumus, and she refused him. An unfaithful wife. When Aichimo saw that she could not be persuaded, he decided to trick her. Now he will deceive her. He asked Imogen if she could keep his trunk in her bedroom. He told her it was filled with jewels and other valuable presents for his friends in Italy. He said it would be much safer in her bedroom, as even the boldest thief would never dare to go in there. Imogen agreed to have it in her room where it would be safe. In the evening, the trunk was placed in Imogen's room. Aichimo was hidden in it as part of his plan. When Imogen was fast asleep, he crept out of the trunk and looked around him. He looked at all the details of the room and everything in it, remembering each item very carefully. Softly, he removed the bracelet from the Imogen's arm without waking her. Then he hid in the trunk again. The next day, the trunk was removed. Aichimo starts his journey back to Italy, taking the bracelet with him. When he arrived in Rome, he went straight to see Postumus. He claimed he had won his bet and that Imogen and he were lovers. Postumus would not believe him, but Aichimo described Imogen's room in detail. He produced the bracelet which he claimed Imogen had given him. In this way, Aichimo made Postumus believe that Imogen was an unfaithful wife. Dear students, this person deceived her. She is innocent and he is faithful to her husband. Anyhow, he deceived her and steal the bracelet from her and declare her there with her husband as unfaithful wife. Okay. According to their agreement, Postumus handed Aichemo his diamond ring. Bitter at the thought of Imogen's lack of virtue, he felt that all women were the same. He made up his mind to hate and curse every one of them. Two letters. Postumus wrote to his friend Pisanio, Imogen's servants. He told him about Imogen's unfaithfulness. He wanted Pisanio to go with Imogen to port of the Milford Haven on the coast of Britain and to kill her there. By the same messenger, Postumus sent a message to Imogen. He said he could no longer live without her and that he was coming to take her away with him. He begged her to go with Pisanio to Milford Haven to wait for him there. He could not enter Britain, but he would come as far as this port. When Imogen received this letter, she and Pisanio set out that very night, for she loved Postumus dearly, too much. She was really in love with her husband, but now the third person deceived both of them. She had no idea of his desires for revenge on her. Pisanio felt certain that some false Italian had deceived Postumus. He privately decided not to kill Imogen. On the way to the coast, he handed Imogen the letter from Postumus. To her sorrow. She read, "Let your own hand take away her life. I shall give you an opportunity at Milford Haven. She has my letter for the purpose. What had changed his love to hate? In her grief, life seemed no longer worth living. She offered her sword to Pisanio and told him to stab her, to kill her, through the Her heart, which used to be so full of love for Postumus, was now full of grief, sorrow. Okay, Pisanio told her he would never carry out Postumus' order. He comforted her. He suggested that someday she might find out who had spoken against her to Postumus. Then she might be able to prove her innocence. Imogen wanted to find her husband, to clear up any misunderstanding and regain his love. She had no desire. She had no desire to return to the palace. Pisanio had an idea. There was a Roman general at Cymbeline court named Caius Lucius. He was due to leave for Italy soon and would come to Milford Haven. Imogen could disguise herself, could show herself as a boy, and offer to work for him as a servant. In that way, she could travel to Rome to meet Postumus. Imogen quickly agreed and dressed herself as a boy. Pisanio said he would go to look for the general. As they parted, Pisanio gave her the little box which Dr. Cornelius had brought to the queen. He thought it contained a wonderful medicine, as the queen had told him, and that it might help her in the same way. Dear students, up to here I'm going to close this lecture because of the length and time. Inshallah, the remaining part I will finish in the last lecture, and that will be the last lecture of your English course for grade 7. Dear students, in this story, you can understand that a king had a wife who died, leaving three children, two sons and one daughter. The children are stolen in the early days, but the daughter Imogen remains with the king. Then the king marry again with a widow. She had already a son from the previous husband, and she hate the Imogen, but she is a cunning mind woman. She wanted her son should be the heir and should be the king of the state. So for this purpose, she planned to make marry of the Imogen and her son. Anyhow, Imogen had already married with a boy. She knew him from his childhood. When the king knew this, the king sent that person Posthumus in exile from the country and made his daughter as a prisoner. Anyhow, at the end, when Posthumus went to Italy. There he made friend, and then he told the story of his wife, beauty, and similarly the faithfulness. So then they made a bit with another Aichimo, a person. Aichimo comes to the Imogen and deceive her and take her bracelet in deceiving, and then told lies to the husband, to the Posthumus, about unfaithfulness of his wife, and similarly he create a gap between the wife and husband, and made a gap in the love of these both couple of this couple. So, dear students, up to here, this was the story. I'm going to close this lecture. I hope you will try to understand it. See you in the next lecture, and that will be the last lecture. Up to date. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.